Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me for this song production breakdown. We're going to talk about this song that we put out recently. Actually, it's called If You Knew. We put it out as Utopia Reimagined, If You Knew, featuring the one and only Charlie Lim, who's a good friend of mine. And this project was actually commissioned by Foundation for the Arts and Social Enterprise. And it was done in collaboration with a vision that they had of a song that was actually, or of a symphony rather, that was actually written for Singapore a number of years back, called Utopia Symphony. And Foundation has gotten a whole range of contemporary local artists to actually reimagine the work and the sentiment behind it, the meaning of Utopia, and interpret that our own way. And so this is the second wave, which was executively produced by Charles himself. And the seeds of this song were actually planted a number of years back, 2019 to be exact. I was on a trip to the UK at the time, and I was just going through a lot of self-reflection and thinking to myself, I had the notion of a baby boy or any person entering the world for the first time. I was imagining myself perhaps as a parent, and when the time comes, what I would be saying to this newborn, the newborn who has not yet faced or had any opportunity to have the goodness of the universe tainted by any negative experiences as yet. So that sort of innocence, complete sort of blank canvas and infantile wisdom, if you may, manifests itself for me as an adult, striving for that sense of happiness, that sense of purpose and confidence after going through setbacks and sort of knocking down my defense mechanisms to try and go back to that innocence. So this is a very important song at the time for me to write. If you knew how easy life was coming at you, wouldn't think twice about it, would you now? It's a lyric that means a lot to me, to think that, going through it for the first time, you would have that much joy and confidence with no setbacks just yet. And in the second verse, there's another lyric, thoughts and butterflies, they sparkle in your eyes. You're lost, but you follow them as you please. They'll lead you to happiness if you know where it is. I spend my life just searching for a glimpse. So I'm still searching for that feeling. Amongst the probably most heartfelt lyrics I've ever written personally. So I actually played a sort of rudimentary version of the song at the Slow Life album launch at the Esplanade Concert Hall in 2021 for my Slow Life album. And when Foundation came to me with the pitch and with the idea, I immediately gravitated towards this number, and I thought, okay, wow, this really means something. Striving for that sense of happiness, purpose, innocence. It just fits the Utopia theme perfectly to a T. I couldn't think of a better way to place this song. And so that's when I had the opportunity to actually work with Charles, who's an old friend of mine, to put together this song, this arrangement production, this co-write. And it really turned into, became an exercise in joy for music. So let's get into it. Okay.
If you knew how easy life was coming at you, wouldn't think twice about it, would you now?
This is actually a DX7 patch that Charles came up with on the keyboards. Actually, the song was written on acoustic guitar, but Charles transformed it by putting it onto to the keys with these beautiful voicings and just the way he handles the keyboard. There's a sort of sense of mystery and enchantment, at the sounds here. And I'm thinking of when a person is being born into this world, it's transitioning from one phase to another and sort of opening up and seeing everything for the first time. So there's this dream-like EQ to it, to the sound of the vocal. It's as if it's a dream.
If you knew how easy life was coming at you, wouldn't think twice about it, would you now?
So that was a very important element of the song for me, to combine this vocal sound with these sort of heavenly kind of keyboards. And then of course Charles comes in with his part.
Think of suffering a lifetime struggling, but how could you? You're just a baby boy.
And the envelope opens.
If you think that your soul could be saved, could you find your way home, home, home? What if all this could be waived? Could you find your way home, home, home? Yeah, yeah.
This is when it starts to marry the electronicness, if you will, of the DX7 keyboard with the woody, grainy, organic sound of the acoustic guitar. It's combining two worlds. I went over to Charles's studio and started laying down lots and lots of guitar layers. Actually, Charles worked with me on a song back in 2014 called You Got It Babe, and he was adding lots of these kind of guitar layers, like almost post-rock kind of delays swirling around. Some parts are reversed, and that's something real special that he brings with this production. Kind of a sense of drama, almost like a swell going into the next section.
Home, 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 yeah, yeah. Feeling my shoulder when I'm so.
Here come the drums. So here you have actually two different drum parts playing together. In fact, we have something that's like a drum machine, almost like a tippy-tappy sort of, almost like a 90s lo-fi-ish kind of drum machine. I can't remember off the top of my head if it was a Linn drum or if it was sequential circuits or what, but it was one of those kind of vintage drum machines. But adding that, combining that with very organic samples of like sort of Abbey Road's drums, I think that's the pack of the overheads and having those hi-hats in. So let's combine the two of them together. Oh, and then Charles had this great idea to put a sort of slap back delay on the snare. I first heard this in Love Who You Love by John Mayer and Katy Perry. It's a very, very cool little sort of effect. And then obviously having the more organic cymbals overdubbed in. So you get the best of both worlds, sort of an electronic sound with something that's more organic. And then we put a little loop underneath. I think Charles played the bass here as well. Oh, I gotta tell you something funny. So when we were debating about what direction to take the song in, Charles threw around the idea of actually, the part in Journey, Don't Stop Believing? Bum, 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 bum. Bum bum bum, bum bum bum. Just a small town girl, right? So we decided to incorporate something similar in this electric guitar. In a subtle kind of way. Maybe not so 80s rock, but yeah, it kind of added an interesting flavor to the song, which I thought was pretty cool. And obviously, there's the second part of the chorus where Charles and I are actually singing in unison, and you can really hear the difference in the characters of our voices, which I think combines to sound quite unique timbrally.
They lead you if you think that your soul could be saved. Could we find our way home, home, home? What if all this pain could be waived?
Really gunning for it there. Almost like overdriving the preamp.
What if all this pain could be waived? May you find your way home.
Love it.
Home, home, yeah.
Such a haunting depth to his voice, which really heightens the sense of drama. Speaking of drama, this is where we had the opportunity to put lots of reverbs and delays actually in the song. Delay throws. This is where I send lots of amounts of the signal to reverb and to delay. This is, in fact, if I solo the effects channel, see I've printed the vocals here. This is the dry vocal, this is the wet vocal only. If I listen to just the wet vocal, you can hear how much of that reverb came through. And another thing is actually another good friend of mine, Joel Tan, suggested and reminded me of a technique that I hadn't used in a while, which was to actually build a sort of pseudo choir by stepping a few meters back from the microphone, but then turning up the gain so that the microphone actually captures a lot of the sounds, the surrounding sounds rather, to get that sort of liveliness, right? So you hear almost like the live ambience of the room. If you listen to home, the word home, yeah. Interesting nerdy little music theory thing here is actually that progression uses what we call a tritone substitution. If you think that you're so... Here we go. Yeah, just a little thing to throw in there to kind of tweak the ear a little bit. And this electric guitar part, I'm using my little phaser, capturing that in stereo. Swirly, Satriani, Van Halen sound. Bit of canon in D there. Thanks so much for listening to this breakdown. Hope you enjoy the song. Check it out on all your streamers. But you know, Utopia Reimagined, if you knew, by myself and Charlie Lim. Thank you so much. Cheers, guys.